Welcome to the weekend must watch here on the Intercut podcast channel, where we wade our way through the latest in theaters, streaming, and on demand. I am your co-host, Zachary Shevich, and joining me, the most famous accordion player in an extremely specific genre of music. It's Arturo Zurita.
Or it would have been a streaming movie in the most specific streaming service imaginable, since we got theatrical movies, we got TV series, but we have a new streaming service movie. It seems like there's always going to be something on the horizon that we'll never expect, but Roku is now a
Yeah,
part of the game.
I feel like we've talked about Roku. We've done hundreds of intercuts at this point. This is a long running podcast. Um, I think we've talked about Roku like less than the number of times I can count on my hand. Like it,
We've had a good
we
amount of
we
times.
mentioned when they
Quibi
bought.
came in.
We mentioned when they bought Quibi. We definitely
Yeah.
gave them a shout out at some other point, but like
At some
we're
point,
not
you and
talking
I
about
bought our
Roku originals
parents
that much.
Rokus. I feel like
Sure.
Roku's is the thing that the older generations tend to gravitate towards. They may not understand the Apple TVs or the smart TVs on the TVs are too slow. Roku has been able to take over pretty much everyone's households, and having a Roku in every single place. It only makes sense that after offering the free content, being able to pick up a library from Quibi, that they start making their own. I didn't think they would be hitting
Exactly.
festivals like you were able to
Right.
with this movie since it played there, but hey, it's a whole new world. If Apple's winning Oscars and Netflix has some of the biggest things out
Mm-hmm.
there, yeah, why not? Why not Roku?
Yeah, it's an interesting play from Roku because, like as you mentioned, they have become somewhat ubiquitous in the streaming device world, where it's pretty much them, Apple TV, and Chromecast. I feel like running most things. I guess there's some Fire Stick users out there
Amazon,
as
yeah.
well, but considering that they are not attached to one of those gigantic companies the way that like Apple TV is, they've made a pretty solid carving out for themselves in that
Hmm.
world, and I guess only makes sense that they've uh, ventured a foot into the original content business as well to try and get more eyes their way. I've been reading some interviews actually with Roku executives just because I was curious about this, and they're very committed to that free on demand idea that we've been talking
We know how
about,
much
the
money it
the
makes.
freebies of the world and the tubies of the world and the Pluto TVs of the world that are all, I feel like, getting bigger and bigger. So Weird might be one of the first trending movies we've seen come out of one of
Because
those
it's free.
free on demand or free streaming video services, but I don't think it will be the last.
It won't. And then just
Yeah.
to retract for the people who don't know, every service that you have has a free one. Netflix just announced their free ad version, which is going to end up being $6, and it's like a really big deal because they've always said no ads. They're presenting theirs. Amazon has switched theirs from being IMDb TV because they own IMDb. If you ever are
Mm-hmm.
wondering why you're on IMDb and they continue pushing Prime shows, I wonder why. Theirs is now called Freevee, which is very
Yeah.
smart, right? In this new form of like, oh, are you streaming? Are you paying for it, or are you getting it for free with ads? Freebie is a beautiful name to have, and now they've integrated that within their Prime service. We were always talking about Tubi. Tubi's been
Mm-hmm.
killing it. They're also doing originals. They understand what the game is. We're mentioning Roku as well. Roku went through so much stuff though, because if you don't remember, HBO wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
allow the app on Roku because HBO demanded that they get all the analytics from Roku, and Roku's like, why the hell would we give you all of this? And then Roku
Mm-hmm.
quickly realized that everybody else was siphoning that from them, and they also had a fight with Google, and Google didn't want to allow YouTube or YouTube TV, especially for
Yeah.
sports. So it's like just following what they argue about kind of taught Roku how to become the next streaming giant to a degree, if it's able to do that, because it's in everybody's homes already. Pluto is a great example of it being done right, but them not knowing what to do with it. Because I read the one with the Pluto execs, and the Pluto execs are like, Pluto TV and Paramount. Those are the two that we have here at Viacom. People pay for Paramount, yet Pluto TV free with ads is making so much more money. And with
Mm-hmm.
all of that money that they're making, more than Showtime and Paramount combined, they still don't know what the future is. And I'm like, I don't know. The future kind of sounds like everybody else. Netflix becoming a provider of movies, Tubi, Roku. If Pluto doesn't hop on it, then they're just going to be the ones who are left behind. So I'd be very curious to see where it expands. Hulu has its own free version. Everyone has a free version, but to post up a full free movie, and it actually be kind of decent. I think it's a little
Yeah.
bit different. So let's start with the theatrical ones, though, because there is a lot of movies that came out this week. Several different places to watch these things. I don't know if the movie we've been talking about, Weird Al, is playing in theaters, or if you were one of the lucky few to be able to catch it in theaters because of a festival.
No, I didn't. Amanda was at the premiere, the Midnight Madness screening of it, but I missed out on it when it was at Toronto. So I watched it at home like all of us.
Beginning with some of the theatrical releases, though, this week, we have a twofer of movies that I think they were pretty hyped up for a lot of people. I was pretty hyped up for them. I think a lot of people are seeing them as being Oscar contenders, perhaps one a little bit more than the other, but they've been getting some interesting reviews. Which one do you want to start off with, Zach? Do you have a particular one between the comedy drama that's rated R and is an hour and 54 minutes, or the comedy drama that's rated R and is an hour and 54 minutes?
I don't know. These are both some of the best movies I've seen all year, so it's hard to pick between them. I guess we can go in alphabetical order since they're both at the top of the alphabet as well.
Yeah, Armageddon Time was a movie that you were able to catch right at the end of the New York Film Festival. I had to leave early, but I think you got to see the whole cast and crew there. You spoke a little bit about it, and I was able to see it in theaters for the first time this week as it's expanding little by little. And I personally think that James Gray is a pretty good director. I think he's able to get a lot of scope out of his stories. He's able to direct some really good actors, and I'd say that that's really no different with this new one that he has right here. I think that the kid is fantastic in it. First of all, I thought it was a girl the whole time. I thought it was like Carrie Coon Jr., but the kid comes in and he's really the whole focal point of the story. You are following his perspective to a degree that the sound design, the camera will change, literally depending on how he views a scene. And I thought that was very effective. This is like a better version of Belfast, where the director is retelling you his story of being a child, but then sometimes forgets that he's still the 40-something-year-old 2022 man who I think may inject a little bit too much into that viewpoint of a child reliving his past. But the whole story, as you broke down before, is this kid who's going to a public school. His parents want him in a private school specifically because he may be hanging out with bad influences. And the message that he gets from his parents may be a little bit different than the message he gets from his grandpa, played by Anthony Hopkins, who fantastic in this movie. He's just playing himself. If you've ever seen his like social media stuff, he's just playing himself. And it's him learning those lessons as he realizes the amount of privilege that he has in this movie. And I think that that's where that idea of it being a movie about like holding on to that guilt, I connect it to what's the one that I just said? The other one, the black and white, Belfast, because I don't think that this kid in retrospect he does, but at the moment understands the big family who was supporting a lot of the things. And I really needed to go to the bathroom during this movie, and I waited because there's a whole scene where they just present you a lot of people who you see in the trailer, but I don't think they were made known that these were actual people who helped the family. Nonetheless, I think it is a good movie. I was very worried by the trailer because the trailer made it seem like a Hallmark original movie. And Zach, there are some times where it does kind of lean back into being a Hallmark original movie. But I think that there's a lot of heart in it. And I think that the cringe and what may feel like really bad to some people because it's very much a specific perspective, it needs to be, because if it's a story about privilege, then one must show the privilege that they have. Right? I think this was a discussion we were having about the movie having some contrasting viewpoints. And if it's talking about this specific family and having survived the Holocaust and now what they're going through here in America and contrasting that with his new friend, you're bound to get parents who are like, I don't care what happens to that kid. I'm going to focus on my child. But Zach, you had mentioned a lighting thing in this movie. So I made sure to go see it in the best possible theater that I could.
Right.
They do my boy dirty a little bit in the beginning, man. They had him up against some, and I'm trying to see if I can find some pictures of the kid here.
Jalen
this
Webb,
friendship that they strike together.
Actor playing Johnny, yeah,
and both of them do a fantastic job. You said Jalen is the friend, and then this is Banks.
Yes,
or do I have him?
Yeah,
flipped?
Banks Repeta is the young James Gray,
the main kid. Okay, so they both do a fantastic job. I thought Jalen did a really great job of, again, the whole story not being from his perspective. It's only what his friend knows about him, and he's got to carry a lot of baggage, a lot of his own history when he's being interrogated, when he's being yelled at by the teacher. I thought he did a fantastic job in it. He's innocent. Look, some of the lighting choices I could see being a little bit difficult. That actually wasn't my problem. My problem was whenever they had my man up against black backdrops. I'm like, you guys can orchestrate this whichever way you want. I would have just wanted some backdrops where he would be standing out a little bit more. But the
Mhm.
relationship that they had within the movie, even I felt the way that you pitched it to me, you made it seem like it was a lot shorter than it was. And I think they're both there for an extended period of time. I think they
Yeah.
play off of each other and they learn a lot of lessons out of each other that they don't even
Mhm.
necessarily need to be told about, because a lot of the movie is pitched like this is a kid who's learning his lesson from his grandpa. But I think he already has been instilled some of those lessons just being raised in the family.
Yeah, there's a mix of influences there, and I think some of the backlash, I guess, against this film that sort of short changes the Johnny character, i- so is arguing that he's not a full person on screen, but I don't really see that. I feel like there is a depth to his character. We spend time with him, like maybe he's not as much of a focus as Paul is in the film, but that's because it's more of
He's
a film
not.
about Paul. And like I'm sympathetic to some of the arguments about uh, the way that he's utilized in the film, but to me, it's not anything that I, I think ultimately takes away from what I thought was a really moving and kind of profound coming of age story that worked very well for me. I want to
Let's
get
do it.
more into it in
We
the
do.
after credits when we can talk a
We
little bit
get spoilers.
more openly and with spoilers. But yeah, I think there's a lot of really interesting elements that James Gray is adding into like the social political sphere of this film that it makes it more complex than I think uh, tweets can
It
react
is.
to.
Uh
Yeah.
huh. I don't think it's as like divisive as some people are making it out to be, but the complexity, all that means is that someone can tell a story from their perspective and it can override someone else's story, and both things can be true. It doesn't mean you're
Hmm.
malicious, but I think to deny that in telling one person's story, it doesn't make the other one a supporting character. Uh, I don't like if they were flipped. And again, this is a discussion for the after credits, which we'll get into. But it's like if the roles were flipped and it was Danny's character who had to
Hmm.
be that sort of like you're the character who's just here to teach me a lesson. How would that play out? And I think we've seen those movies too, and we don't get the backlash to said movies. But I will
Hmm.
give this movie one thing: it does not get a pass for that title font at the beginning and at the end. Zach, when that title font came on, egregious. I was literally right at the beginning. I was like, oh, I can't be on Zach's side. I threw the towel right away. I was like, this is some. What was the Jonah Hill skating movie, bro?
Mid '90s.
I had no idea what he was doing with the font. He also does some
Well,
score in this, bro, where
yeah,
their
I think the
connection to Sugar
font.
Hill Gang,
Mhm.
they're playing Rasta.
Well, that is more of the sound of the New York hip hop scene at that time because it is the
That we
influence
did not
of
explore
the
with them.
of the well, I mean, I don't know if he's necessarily like trying to take you on like a journey through the history of hip hop,
I
but
don't think
like
he
that
knew what
that
he was
is like
taking
it's the
us through.
Jamaican dance hall music that
Yeah,
grew into hip hop in that time. So, and
for
I don't
sure.
know, that might be on point. It's also the font is meant to reflect the graffiti that was a huge like thing in New York at the time. You see in the subway, it's like very period accurate, not what
Production
subways
design
look like now.
impeccable on the production design
Yeah,
and on the sound
yeah,
design. Really good
yeah,
stuff. We'll talk about this more over there. I found that title so goofy because they do give us a
yeah.
good font in the credits, but the opening
Mhm.
one I was just like Armageddon Time, the New York Film Festival selection.
All right, you want to do a quick thing on Banshees so we can save some of it for the after credits as well?
Let's do it.
So Banshees of Inisherin, we talked about it a bit when I saw it back in the Toronto Film Festival, the latest from Martin McDonagh, which takes place on the fictional Irish island of Inisherin, following two friends, Pedrick and Calm, played by Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, after one of them decides he doesn't want to be friends with the other one anymore. Art, have you ever broken up with a friend?
I feel like my breakups with friends as end up being a dissipating, just dwindling of less
Yeah.
talking and
Like I
talking and
definitely
talking.
ghosted a dude in college.
Yeah, like I feel like that happens. I don't know if I've been the one to ghost a lot of people, but I feel it's like
Hmm.
I don't a ghost would be just boom, not talking to them immediately. I think it dissipates a little bit, and then the
Hmm.
other friend tends to need a favor, and then they come back and they like DM you. But that's usually how it is. I don't think I ghost. I personally don't think I ghost too many people, but I do drag to respond to text. That is, I don't consider that ghosting.
Is
but I
that
consider
why
it
my
dragging.
DMs go unanswered?
To respond to text. It says seen and everything, but it just won't go. You're looking at the bubbles. I can guarantee you though, it's never been to this extent. Yeah.
No
This
severed
is a
fingers in your
no.
breakups. Not yet.
This is an interesting movie because we saw it with not as packed of a crowd as we did with Armageddon Time, but nonetheless there was several people there, several of the elderly folks who snuck in because you could tell they were just trying to see where the free seats were. They were feeling it by the end, so the freebies left, but anyone who paid for a ticket did stay through it, and
Cool.
were probably there for their first Martin McDonagh movie. We have seen a couple of them. I know both of our favorites that made it all the way to the Oscars was Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. Seven Psychopaths, personally, might be my favorite. I'm not saying it's his best.
Really?
I just think it's my favorite. And In
Over
Bruges,
in Bruges. Yeah.
which was the last one.
I
Don't get me
love
wrong.
In Bruges.
I rewatched them.
Mm-hmm.
In Bruges is better than Banshees, bro. I don't know how to tell it to you. I've been hearing a lot of people compare these two together. It makes sense. Same actors, director style. It's not even close, bro. I'm sorry. In Bruges is so far ahead. Like I said, and I'm not saying that In Bruges isn't better than Seven Psychopaths. I personally really love Seven Psychopaths. Both are better than Banshees of Inisherin. And that's not a bad thing. Banshees of Inisherin is a very interesting movie where you have two fellows who live in probably the most beautiful coastal tiny town in the 1920s. I wanted to go to Ireland so bad after watching this.
Yeah.
This is a movie about two lifelong friends who decide to not hang out with each other anymore because one's a little too dull and the other one's like, I've been in so much despair that I don't want to waste another second with you. I'm a musician and I'd rather cut off my fingers than to spend another moment wasted with you, even though that would kind of like waste his entire gift of whatever. This place looks so beautiful. I was wondering why he was depressed. All of the shots here made me wish that I had seen this in a wider theater. They get some astounding locations in this movie. Even just a simple pass of being able to walk from point A to point B. There's a running gimmick about trying to hide from this like witch lady and how you're able to just like turn around and hide in one of the walls of just the stone like walkways that they have through their roads. All the performances in here were hilarious. Personally, I found myself most attracted to the character of the sister just because she brought in the most warmth. She brought in the most like level-headed discussion.
Carrie Condon as Siobhan.
Fantastic. You either have these two bozos going off of each other, not realizing that they're both just as simple, but they're like fighting with each other on who's more important, who's more nice. The townspeople were absolute morons, just trying to like get the least possible resistance from one another, or you have the other townspeople who are trying to get the most news or stories out of the other people. But for the most part, the tones, something that got me off guard because I already know the dynamic that he's bringing into this, the dryness, the comedy that's really very, very sad. And it's kind of funny because of that. But then it gets a little too real and you stop laughing. He plays with that to a degree.
That's what I love about it, though.
That was so uncomfortable because I'm like, it's a funny moment, but it's so sad. Or there's a moment that's so sad, and then you start finding it funny, and it's disgusting how well he does it. I do want to catch this one again because it's. I heard that he had written this years ago, and it was in revisiting it that he kept the initial part of the two friends deciding we're lifelong friends, no more, and then switched everything after the fact. And that's when I started reading into it because there was one specific sequence that happens between two characters where they bring up getting paid for an act where you don't even know which side it's hurting. But as long as you got paid, it didn't matter to them. And I was like, okay, you're telling me this is a fictional island. It's a very Irish movie. There's a lot of Irish history. There's a civil war going on. It's the 1920s. And you have two friends who, like the Irish, were fighting amongst each other instead of tackling the things that they should have. And I was like, all right, there's a lot more to this. All I had to do was listen to one little interview. That's exactly what it is. I love movies that are able to take what is one area, one location, and have it be representative of a whole. How everyone in this town, and especially these two friends, indicate a history of Ireland, and especially the back and forth between the powers that be there. That I was like, oh, okay. The more I know about Irish history, the more I'm going to be able to understand this song that's playing in the background. I stay for the credits and I realize, oh, this is an oldie. I wonder what this represented during what wartime. The specific sayings that they say to each other. Fact is probably the best way. Like he's got one on Marty there because Marty loves his F bombs, but in Ireland they're just
Yeah,
so goofy.
nothing quite like hearing it out of an Irish accent. Yeah, it's elevated for
On
sure.
Marty's they sound rated R. Mark Wahlberg when he says them, those are hard
Hmm.
R's. Here they sound like the most PG-13 F words I've ever heard in my life. They're so funny. It's some
Yeah.
Nickelodeon Slime Time Live way of delivering those lines, but no,
Hmm.
everyone just delivers there. I need to revisit it again. I didn't hate it in any
Yeah.
way, shape, or form. I just wanted to be as enamored with it as you were. And there were points where it did get me, and my mind started going like, "Why is he doing this?" And your mind starts
Hmm.
trying to justify it, make sense of it. And it's specifically in those scenes when he visits the priest that I was just like, what is this indicative of as an artist, as a friend? What does it mean to be nice? Do we really matter if we're
Hmm.
not here for centuries? And I don't know. I think the way that the movie plays out with it, I think left me with a lot more that I wanted to discuss rather than the jokes that I want to revisit from his previous films. And I think that's the only reason I'm separating Psychopaths and In Bruges to the conversations being had here.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you, even though I think that ultimately I put this above any other film he's made before. There's just so much that I appreciate about whether it's the cadence between the characters. I think you can hear some of his like stage writing influence in just
Mm,
the repetition of lines and the kind of like almost Greek chorus nature of all the different people on the island. I don't know. There's a lot that I really love about it, and it's also that element that you're talking about of how it does start with this simple thing where it's like these are two guys and they don't like you, they're figuring out this uh rift between them, but then there is all this other stuff like with whether it's reflecting the whole idea of like this is how we get led to wars and stuff like that, and how people destroy one another rather than working out their differences, or even just like the existential nature of how to live a life. I love not only how funny this was, but how much it made me kind of think and think about my
yeah.
own life. And yeah, to me, this is like a excellent film, one of my favorites of the year. I want to revisit it too because, like you said, there is a lot more there than just what's lying on the surface. But
Yeah.
we'll again we got some after credits lined up for this one too, and it'll be fun to talk about it, dive a little bit more deeply.
We'll get to it. So far, you think you like
Yeah.
Armageddon Time more or Inisherin more? Or
Banshees
Inisherin?
is yeah, Banshees is going to be higher
Banshees
on
is
my
yours?
year-end list for sure.
Either way, though, in terms of ratings, you'd recommend the Intercuties to go out for both of these, right?
Yeah, these are easily contenders for my top 10 of the year, if not like
Nice.
locks to be on it, both of them.
Same.
I don't know if it doesn't sound like they're really competing for your top 10 though.
They may not be competing for my top 10, but I think both are definitely worth watching. Going out to the theaters, don't wait at home. Watch these as at least matinees, especially as we get closer to the Oscar season. I think there may be discussions for both of these, be it in performances, because I do
Hmm.
think that Colin Farrell was really good in Banshees, as well as I think it's too small of a role. But Carrie Condon as a sister, but who am I saying was too small of a
Yeah,
role? Our boy Barry Keoghan, and we'll get that to the spoilers because I don't want to discuss anything Barry until we get to
right.
spoilers. In Armageddon Time, though, everyone was great. Kid was great. It's the boy. It's Pops over here. Where is he at? Jeremy Strong. It says I
Yeah,
loved him. I liked Anne
cool.
Hathaway, and she brought a lot of heart in the movie, and I was really
Hmm.
impressed with her. But I still think her best performance this year would have been an Emmy role for the Apple show, the WeWork one. She's good,
Hmm.
but it's Jeremy Strong's. You were right about him. He's the best
Yeah,
one. He's my
he
performance out of this one.
he disappears. He is a completely different dude in that movie.
No,
It's so good.
I don't know whose mind of an of an ancestor he went into, right? But
Yeah.
he let that just completely take over. He was someone else in that movie.
Hmm.
But yeah, I would recommend heading out to the theaters for both of these, giving them both junior prices: Banshees of Inisherin, as well as Armageddon Time. But there are some
Very cool.
movies where you don't need to leave the house to. But nonetheless, we may give it a rating, a positive
Yeah.
rating that it should be seen in theaters or maybe seen at home. Let's start with Causeway, a movie that I think you saw at TIFF, and you told me
Yeah.
do not waste money on this. Wait till it is at home. It is now on Apple TV Plus. In case none of you have caught it, it is a new rated R indie drama coming from A24, starring Jennifer Lawrence, who practically said, "I apologize for passengers." This past week, she came out and said, "Look, I took way too many big movie roles, and I think it's gotten to a point where people just didn't want to see me in things, and I kind of lost my way." And this is her going back, trying to figure out a way to become the big actress that she was. I think a lot of people knew her from Winter's Bone, leading into that Oscar uh, buzz that that movie had, and then just becoming the massive Hunger Games, X-Men. Like, I can't even remember, what did she not take during that period of time?
Mhm.
Had a baby, disappeared. This is her first movie from her production company. I have it written here. It's called Excellent
Excellent
Cadaver.
cadaver.
And the name comes from the Sicilian mafia term for a hit on a major celebrity. So she's got
Hmm.
a lot of, I don't know, whatever she was doing, before making her big return. Um, a lot of it is being put into production. I always like seeing actors come back to be able to, harness the power that they can bring into a production, especially with being a producer. A fun fact about her production company: the animated logo at the beginning is Don Hertzfeldt.
I was gonna bring this up. I'm glad you did.
That's fire, bro. I
Yeah,
thought that was
it's
really
like
cool. So yeah, if she's able to get creatives together, that's really the most important part about a production company. You can have a bad production company, a good production company, or a production company that's just made for an actor's ego. And so far, I mean, it's the only movie she's got. But I will say, with it being a very simple story of a vet who comes back home, who is still suffering from a lot of the pain and PTSD, they're just trying to fit in. I liked it, bro. I know they're completely different movies, but I feel like the energy you were getting from showing up, completely different movies, but that slow pace, I got here.
yeah. I mean, I've been somewhat surprised to see just about universally positive reactions to this one, given how restrained and kind of quiet the movie is. To
Yes.
me, there's like it's just not that deep in terms of what it's getting into, but I think it's really well portrayed, and I don't know, like maybe I'm being a little bit too I don't know, harsh on the depiction of the, like you said, PTSD and trauma, but I will give it to Jennifer Lawrence and Brian Tyree Henry, who are both extremely good in these roles. I think Brian Tyree
Very good.
Henry in particular, really given more to work with here than he is in most films, is able to like really bring so much pathos and hurt to his role,
Hmm.
and it's the kind of part that I think is deepened by giving it to a guy like him. So I don't know. I am giving a lot of the credit for this movie to those performances, and uh, maybe I'm overlooking what's going on with the story a little, because I've seen a lot of positive reactions, but I found it to be a little light in the end. I
Yeah.
don't think this is one that I'm going to be thinking about months from now.
And that's fair. It's not one of those where I'm going to try to argue to change your opinion, because I see exactly where you're coming from when you saw it. Very simple. It just worked for me a little bit more than I was expecting it to. But I think it's because I like her in those somber roles. That's why I had my whole
Yeah.
intro be like, her perspective going into this was she was done with the big Hollywood machine. She was tired of it. And that's something we're going to end up bringing up in a little bit about another big actress. But seeing her be able to get back into the indie space, I really enjoyed it. These are the types of
Yeah.
roles I want to see her in more, and it really
I
worked for
agree
me. And
100%.
yeah, I would give this
When
one.
when
I'd
I
say, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, when I caught it at TIFF, I it reminded me of her part in Winter's Bone, which is like still
Exactly.
probably my favorite performance
Yeah,
of hers.
because of that, it just edges it and go to the theater again as like a junior price, a very early matinee, $5 Tuesdays. But if anything, it's at home, and I don't think there's a better way to catch it than an Apple TV Plus. I don't think you would recommend people to leave the house. I think you're recommending people to stay
No,
at home. Stay at
yeah, I
home.
mean it's perfectly worthwhile as like a streaming pick. I didn't think it was bad by any means, so
Yeah.
hopefully you respond more positively than I did. But yeah, I don't think you need
Yep.
to rush out to the theater for this one.
All right. Causeway on Apple TV Plus. Over on Prime was one that you did see in the theater as well,
I
right? At TIFF.
did another TIFF
Uh,
screening.
Another one that I caught at home. So I don't know if that may be the thing that's like my love with my couch and me being there in a more comfortable place. That could be doing it. But a movie's a movie, right? And it should deliver. This
Yeah.
is the second, and he's still not a star, Harry Styles performance of the year. The other one being Don't Worry, Darling, which is coming to
Yep.
HBO Max this Friday already, reportedly, allegedly, supposedly. But this one is on Prime. My Policeman had a couple of weeks in theaters. It played at a couple of festivals. It is based off of a book, and it is on Amazon Prime right now. And it wasn't bad. I need
It's
to read the book, but it's okay.
fine.
I think what people go into a movie with Harry Styles for is to critique nothing else but the performance, right? It's like you're going there and you don't care that everybody else is doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, that the story doesn't do anything wrong. It's by the beat like a lot of other
Hmm.
romance book adaptations. You don't think so?
I wasn't into the story, but finish your thing.
I think it's by the numbers for the most part.
Yeah.
People are coming into it because it's Harry Styles, and we're over critiquing Harry Styles. I think Harry Styles isn't the greatest actor. I think he's below par are like B level actors or whatever you would call the average person who comes on set.
Hmm.
But I think we care to critique him a little bit more because it's Harry Styles, and no one cares about your critique of another actor in this movie. They only care about your critique of what you can say for Harry Styles, and he still does not have the yelling thing. I don't think he's a yeller. I could be wrong, and we could give a huge expose on Harry, but I don't think he's a yeller. So every time they try to act him and direct him to yell, I feel like he's gonna blow a vocal cord or something. I still don't buy that there. But yeah, I didn't mind this much. I would not say leave the theater for it unless you're a Harry Styles fan, but I
Hmm.
think like as a rental, specifically with the one movie a month that you get on Amazon Prime, I think it fills the void for the one film.
Yeah, I was not really feeling this one when I saw it. I just feel like there are all sorts of tragic gay romance films out there that have a lot more depth of character and personality, and
For sure.
where maybe you feel like a little more chemistry between the leads. I feel like this was very um I don't know, just very like ultimately undynamic is, I guess, the word I would try
You didn't
to.
feel their love. You didn't feel
Not,
emotions in it.
I didn't feel like their personhood, let alone their love. I feel like you have to have an idea of like who they are to care about them, and I didn't.
That's
Ultimately, I
fair.
mean, it's fine as a tragic melodrama, but like, I guess it's not even the most tragic, but like, I don't know. It just didn't work for me, and his performance didn't really add to that either. Although he's not, as we were sort of talking about off stream, he's not the lead of this movie.
He's not, and it makes a lot of
Yeah.
people think he is, but yeah, he's really not. And I think because of that, they're aware of what the marketing needs to be for a movie like this. Say it's Harry and have people come in, and that's what it's been for a lot of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard about this. I want to toss this one to you. You heard about how they abuse Harry's mailing list? These are both rated R
To
movies because I
promote
think Don't Worry
this,
is also rated R. Huh?
what to promote this?
They used that mailing list for Don't Worry Darling, and because it was a rated R movie that said all the things that it wasn't, and obviously all the things that aren't for under 18, they were
Hmm.
like starting a lawsuit because they were pushing Don't Worry Darling on the kids by using his mailing list to get people to go buy tickets, and they're like, you can't be doing that because you're promoting content to accounts that you know are younger. But for My
No.
Policeman, they didn't do anything. So then the flip was that they were upset that for the gay movie they weren't doing it. So they were like, wait, go break the law like you were supposed to. But it has
Right.
just been a mess behind the scenes at the Harry Styles camp. But he seems to be okay and having fun. So
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll see a lot more. Maybe one day
Water off
we'll
his
get a better
back.
movie. Yeah. It reminds me of a BBC movie. I guess that's why I just already came with the approach that it was just like a, I don't know, TV drama or whatever.
Hmm.
But My Policeman, if you're curious, I don't think either of us recommend leaving the house for it. But maybe you might be able to take your Roku, take it to a big theater, and ask them to play Weird, the Al Yankovic story. Would you catch this?
I caught that at home, Roku.
Okay. How did you catch it?
Uh, on the Roku channel, not with a Roku device.
Interesting. Was it on your TV?
Yeah.
I don't have the Roku channel on my TV
No.
or the Apple TV or any of that. So I had to get through my computer off of the browser to
The
connect it to the
HDMI.
thing, to the HDMI.
Uh.
It was way too much, but that's what happens with all of the behind the scenes stuff that we were saying that happens with
Hmm.
Roku and the different devices and services that
Yeah.
fight with each other. But
It's the
nonetheless,
one time that having a Samsung Smart TV has paid off for me.
I could be it because my LG, I guess, for whatever reason, decided no, we got beef with Roku. They had beef with
Yeah.
HBO, so I guess that makes sense. But I did get the chance to watch it, and everybody could watch this for free. There is no logging in. Nothing. This thing just
Hmm.
plays. Mine even play with ads, so I'm not complaining. Weird. The Al Yankovic story takes Weird Al Yankovic, his story, and this a fascinating thing as a biopic because it is a biopic that's not really a biopic. For one, he's in it. He plays like his record
Yeah.
producer himself. Daniel Radcliffe doesn't really sing any of the songs. To me, it is jarring when they cut to him performing and setting up a song and then he's singing. And I'm like, bro, this is just regular Weird Al. And it's
Yeah.
not Weird Al's recording at that age. You know, it's Weird Al now recording that much older to fit the scene. I don't know. It really stood out for me.
Yeah.
But it's funny, and I think it's funny throughout. I heard some people saying that the second half isn't as funny as the first half. I think the
Hmm.
second half just decides to do something completely different and says,
Yeah.
"This biopic that you thought you were on, we're gonna take it on a right turn. We're gonna like Tarantino it almost to a degree." And I appreciated that, and I thought that the humor that they're carrying at the beginning of the movie stays throughout, and it was fun to see the little cameos. Be it at pool parties or just different characters who
Yeah.
came in, that I thought
As some
it kept it lighthearted for the most part.
Yeah, something interesting about that. I was reading in an interview with, again, I was fascinated. So I was reading up on the Roku executives. They made the decision to ultimately film this movie in Los Angeles rather than filming in Canada, which a lot of movies do, to film a little bit more cheaply. And one of the reasons they decided that is they realized it would be much easier to get people to do cameos if it was in LA and local. So that definitely is one of the things that played to this movie's benefit in the end.
Wow, that's a good fun fact. Interesting. Okay, because there are scenes where it's literally just a bunch of celebrities for what
Yeah.
10 seconds,
Yeah.
in makeup doing a bit. It is a movie that feels like a very long sketch sometimes. Like it's not
Hmm.
you're not like getting into scenes and you can tell like they just like
Definitely.
cleaned up somebody really quickly. It's like sketch level makeup and
Yeah.
production.
It
That's
definitely
how.
feels like a funny or die movie.
Funny enough, I searched up the director to find out
Hmm.
that they themselves did a Funny or Die sketch 10 years ago.
Hmm.
And it was already titled, hopefully it appears right here. It was already titled The Weird Al whatever thing. And they actually had somebody playing Weird Al. And it was also for Funny or Die. Not exactly sure if it's going to pop up here, but that may still be online. I wasn't able to find it. 2010. That's exactly when it happened. A fictional biographical film that parodies Weird Al. It's only 3 minutes long, Zach, and Weird Al is played by Aaron Paul. The
He was.
same director is able to take this and make a feature film. That's insane.
I think he's in the special thanks for
Is he?
the feature. Yeah, I
Well,
think I
there you go.
remember seeing that.
Was Olivia Wilde? Because she ends up playing or she plays Madonna in it. Which was another part of it too, the whole like Madonna aspect of it, which I thought was also kind of funny.
Oh, that's
But
funny.
again, those would be all spoilers if you don't know his true story. I would recommend it. It is, like Zach said, a Funny or Die sketch turned into a feature because it is in fact
Well,
a
it's
Funny or
only
Die
like
sketch.
extremely lightly based on his life, right? Like the
Yeah,
whole Madonna romance and stuff
Madonna
is
romance,
not
but
real.
no. But it sounds like he's trying to say something about something that may have happened behind the doors in the industry. Um, the Beat It storyline. You know, it's one of those movies where I'm curious. The more you know about Weird Al Yankovic, the better. Does that mean the movie will be better? And the less that you know
Right.
about him, will you be sitting there going like, "Why is Coolio giving him a look?" And you don't know the entire thing about how Coolio like hated him. Rest in peace.
Hmm.
But like, there was that whole animosity that happened. I still think it was funny enough the way that he was able to come up with the songs. Corny, very corny. When I don't know, he tries to act like a rock star off of parodies. But
Yeah.
I listened to a lot of Weird Al growing up, so I appreciated the movie, its humor,
Yeah.
and at only 90 minutes and for free online, I don't think you could beat it.
Yeah, I mean it's very bizarre, very absurd, and very intentionally so. You know, it's taking that sort of traditional musician biopic formula and just like cranking the parody dial up to 100 because you know it's way beyond films like Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story with John C. Reilly, or even Pop Star Never Stop Popping, or is it Believe It?
From
I forget.
one of our favorites.
But like, yeah, those films I love. I don't think this film gets really anywhere near those on a comedic
No.
level. It's definitely like entertaining, and I laughed plenty of times. But there's a couple times where the movie will just take these dramatic right hand turns or left hand turns. I don't know, and it's a little just like being around somebody who you're like, all right, calm down.
Chill.
We don't have to talk so loudly. Let's just let's have a conversation. It's very extra. Is that the word that we should use?
You brought up the Dewey Cox story, and I think that's one where every time we get a biopic, people are like, I'm gonna get my Dewey Cox to-do list here and see what it broke from here. And this movie feels like it took that list and went, okay, what will you call us out on? I'm gonna double in on that. Before you call me out with the Dewey Cox rule, I'm gonna say it 10 times louder than what it is. So
yeah, I mean, it's bizarre and fun. Radcliffe is particularly good in it. I really loved Evan Rachel Wood as Madonna. I thought she was very funny.
I didn't realize till an interview. I don't know why. I don't know how she does it. She makes her look.
She's pretty.
She makes herself look 10 years younger in random roles, and I'm like, I don't know how you do this.
Yeah.
Would you recommend people leave the house?
I don't know if you can. I think it's exclusively on Roku after its festival run.
Damn.
Yeah, but even if you could, I don't know if I would. It's like a solid streaming choice. Like, unless you're gonna see it in a packed theater where you're gonna have people laughing all around you, and that elevates it for sure because it's a comedy. Yeah, it's gonna be fine to watch at home.
If it was a special screening where they actually gave you like the wigs and everybody took a picture with the Weird Al wigs or something like that, that would be worth leaving the house for. But you're right, it's perfect. Get a 6-pack, drink at home if the humor suits you, and hopefully you know some of his backstory. It's pretty decent. Over on Roku,
Antonio,
our first original. What did he say?
Antonio asked us our favorite cameo in Weird.
So there is one. There is a Wolfman cameo. I won't say who. I don't want to say who it is because I think that's more of a spoiler than the cameo itself. But it's in the pool party cameo, and the Wolfman was funny, but there is a blonde artist. That's all I'll say. And who plays him, I thought was just really funny that they got him, and he just goes there just to like grumble. That's it. Very famous artist. That's all I'll say. You?
Yeah. Geez. I mean, there's so many random ones that I'm just focusing on
the
like
doctor at the beginning.
And he shows up a little bit later too.
Yes.
Yeah, that was random. I don't know. Like, my mind is just drifting to like people that I like and not necessarily parts that I liked. Like, I liked seeing Jack Black and Patton Oswalt and stuff like that.
Quinta, she's been doing a lot of
that, you know what, that's the right choice right there. Quinta was
Patton
really
was also in the original short, so I think he's like one of the very few who made it over.
Nice.
Maybe Paul Scheer was in it, but I don't know. So yeah, I'm curious to see what other people's cameos were, or what other movies they would recommend on Roku. I don't know if there's other Roku originals. Maybe one of the Quibi ones popped and we just never gave it the time of day. But it will not be the first Roku. Is it decent?
Yeah, it's always been decently funny. Tom Lennon. Tom Lennon was also very funny and weird. Another Roku connection. Yeah.
All right, very nice. Moving on to the next one that we have. This is technically a theatrical pick because it has the Dolby, it has the IMAXs, it has all the big screens out there. It is the One Piece film Red. Yeah. Full disclosure, I went to One Piece on IMDb, bro, and I'm like, oh shoot, I'm like, let me see how much I need to catch up on. I spilled something here if you want to catch up on your thoughts on One Red, but I don't think either of us have ever seen it.
Yeah, I've never seen an episode of One Piece. I don't think you have either. I mean, I think a long debate between us and the Inner Cuties has been them trying to get us to watch more anime and us politely but repeatedly saying no. Occasionally we dip a toe in, but it's just not. There's so much in that genre to try and tackle, and I don't feel prepared to enter because then you dive into a whole world of stuff. But yeah, I know One Piece has been fairly popular, at least among the anime community, and we're seeing more of these film events make their way up the box office like numbers or whatever you want to call it. The One Piece film Red movie came in at second place this weekend at the box office after Black Adam, almost $10 million. So, the animated film market is definitely a lot healthier than I think a lot of studios tend to give it credit for.
If
As
you have
for
an anime
this
convention, they'll probably come out to theaters.
Oh yeah, exactly. Right. Like that there is a healthy anime loving community. And if you give them the opportunity to show up to something in theaters, I think they'll take it. Having not really seen any One Piece, I feel like that really affects your ability to enjoy a movie like One Piece Red, which is so throws you right in to the middle of the action with all your favorite characters, not my favorite characters, your favorite characters.
We don't know them like that.
Luffy, right? Luffy
Yeah,
guys, right?
That one pirate guy.
And honestly, for me, it was just such a like overwhelming experience of like sensory overload, because not only are there 100 characters being introduced to you in the first 15 minutes. Some of them are skeletons, some of them are talking bears, some of them I guess are human, although they can do weird non-human things. But beyond that, it's just so visually overwhelming. There's with the colors and all the different backgrounds and beautiful animation for sure, but just way more than my brain is ready to process as somebody who's still trying to figure out who Luffy is and what he's doing. I don't know. I just coming in cold to One Piece film Red, I wouldn't recommend it. I think maybe you should go back and watch the show, but I'm not going to do that either. So
I tried
did you have a better experience?
Look, I went back. I'm like, let me check out this show. No, what is it? Zach, what are you? I'm not doing that. No one's doing this. It's too tough, man. So, going into the movie blank, which I'm also kind of a fan of, just to see like how does the movie hold up for someone who hasn't seen what would be decades worth of content, be it in different mediums, and it's interesting. I don't think it's up there with like the other ones that a lot of people are recommending, and this is definitely one. I see Connor talking about the manga still 1,100 chapters in and going strong. Yeah, I think you're going to be relying on a lot of the backstory, but from what I got out of it being a newbie was, hey, that's the guy in the shirt that a lot of people who I've met wear.
I've definitely seen Luffy before.
I've seen that person. And just getting a little bit of the backstory about how people, the community kind of like blames the military, and then half of them, no, they blame the pirates, and it's like, well, no, there's no other way. The pirates kind of need to get through it. I was like, interesting. So this is what it's about. We have the link still available, so I might watch it again just to make like a newbie video and tell me about like my first time watching One Piece, but I don't think it'll get me into the show. But y'all Intercuties can continue recommending us an anime, and maybe one day we'll finally jump in. You just gotta understand, the moment it's a drug, bro. It's a gateway. The moment you jump in, there might not be coming back. I had friends. They started watching anime. That's it. They don't do anything else. They don't watch movies. The film festivals are gonna be gone. It's gonna be anime.
I don't have the time to develop another
there
unhealthy
is no
habit. And I know I've got an addictive personality, so I can't start.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're both. Was there anything that you did take away from it that you enjoyed, other than like recognizing? I mean, I guess you mentioned the background and stuff like that, but
just the characters. I did not know the characters. Like I only know the voices that like weirdos do about the characters. It was good seeing the images of these characters without the body odor that usually comes with them when others are discussing them around you. But One Piece film, it was okay. Again, I can't judge it too much, but just rewatching it just to do like a newbie video would be the only reason that I would get into it. But
how's your spill situation over there?
Bro, I spilled everywhere, man. It was the anime gods that did not want me to talk. I spilled on so I just got new tech too. So I got like the little trackpad, instead of the mouse. All over it. So I hope it's waterproof.
Oh no,
see, man. I'm hoping. All my tech's caffeinated though, I could tell you that much, but
they'll be ready to go.
It should be ready. But back to the One Piece stuff. If you did catch it in theaters because it's playing in IMAX, it's playing in Dolby, I'm curious to know your experience about it.
Totally.
Because we know a bunch of people watching this on Crunchyroll on some like funky sight off their phones
Yeah.
too with a crazy dub. So to finally see it properly in a theater must be like I had a
That was the
barber.
other
He
thing.
watched all of Dragon Ball Z in 480p, all of it, off of a Boonk phone with like not even real subtitles. And I'm like, you've been watching this since Dragon Ball? And they're like, they're past Z right now. I'm like, dude,
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, I mean,
that's too much.
anime fans are dedicated. That's another cool thing we didn't mention, that when they sent us the screener, they sent us a subbed and a dubbed version. We could
That
choose.
was pretty cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
we got to choose. And the moment you click dub, it just calls you a loser for like 5 minutes consecutively, and you have to go press.
Yeah, it's a lot shorter than the.
So they
sub
say I ain't click it, Zach. But that is One Piece. We got two more things. One of them Zach didn't really catch because we're getting other links being sent our way really quick. I'm totally fine. A nice little dramedy out there about two friends who've made it. They're about to sell their big business. One of them passes. But not fully, because it turns out that friend is still there. She's just been abducted by an alien who's here to do research. And it's a very contrived way to say that the alien plotline doesn't really mean anything. It's just a way to have a heartfelt story between two friends who need to reconnect after one's passing.
Cool.
Again, there's a lot of heart from them two. Their jokes are funny. Not a perfect movie in the sense of like, why even go about it this way? You're an alien. What's the backstory to your alien? It's a contrived way to just have this scenario with two friends. It kind of reminds me. There was that one movie. I like this other movie a lot more, but the one with the couples who really liked each other, and it was what's his name from The Soup, from Community.
Oh,
He was in a
Joel
relationship. Joe McHale. He's in a relationship, and it's going so well that all the friends hate them. And that's another
Yeah,
movie that does a
geez.
contrived thing to get everybody in one
Happily?
Airbnb happily, just so they can vent.
Yeah.
That's another movie where I admit that it just tries to get you to a place, but I really like how effective that is. This one got close to that. You like their friendship. This is definitely one where when it comes out on streaming, like on Netflix or something, have it on your radar. No need to leave the house for it. The Estate would be another one that we both did catch and wraps up our movies of the week. Because this one is in theaters right now. We were able to get a virtual link for this. It is going even wider on November 24th. They really want to push this as a Thanksgiving movie for you to leave to go watch with your whole family. And I'm telling you right now, really good cast, funny premise. This is a Walmart bargain bin movie.
Yeah. Do not subject your family to this.
The story is that this entire family has an aunt who is very rich. She's about to go. So everybody's coming in. You got the couple right here, her in the green, with the guy at the back over here from Office Space. They're a couple. These two are sisters, if I'm not mistaken, between Anna Faris and Tony.
Yep.
And then, bro, I don't know what they had the homie doing from X-Files. He had some out-of-pocket lines in this movie that I do not think are even worth. Like when you read them on the script. After the first one, you might give it a pass. No, they gave him like back to back to back, borderline like, hey, I'm your nephew, but it sounds like you really want to get it on, and I'm trying to get the estate. I'm like, who read this for you and said this was okay, bro? Put an X on that script.
It's a movie that's so like desperate to seem like offensive and outrageous with its jokes about incest.
That's what
and,
it
like,
is.
Old men flashing, but like it's also just so like it feels like it's been done before, and it's not clever at all in how it wants to present these things. Like I wrote in my Letterboxd review, it's less funny than any random 5-minute stretch of the Righteous Gemstones. Just like the way that they present jokes is sort of as if they've already told you the joke and that you should already find it funny, but there's no like set up punchline to it. It's just kind of, here's an idea. Isn't it? Aren't you laughing yet? Like, and it doesn't ever really work. And it's a shame because they've got, like you said, this really awesome cast here, but everybody is so not a character, just sort of like an idea in service of the writer's vision for this sort of dark family comedy. And none of it really works.
Yeah. If you're not leaving the house, because that's not what we're recommending for this movie, you won't even find it at the Walmart bargain bin. This, I would say, is that voodoo movie where they like let you mix and match 3 movies to get for like $11. This is going to be on there, and you only get it because you're like, hey, I know some of those actors. You don't need to worry about it. Some probably chuckled 2 times, but yeah, I agree with Antonio right there, who's saying too much incest jokes. No one told us, man. The Estate. It is out in theaters. Will be out We'll be out at home sometime very soon.
Yeah, I
Quick
don't think
rundown
it's
on the
going to wait that
docs before
long.
we get to our shows of the week. We
Yeah.
have one premiere doc that I would say that came out on Apple TV Plus this weekend. It also premiered at AFI, got pretty good reviews, and I was hoping that it would be akin to a previous documentary that we caught on Apple TV Plus of another artist called Billie Eilish, which I really, really, really loved. I wonder if they'll have the
Hmm.
Billie Eilish doc somewhere here. They do not, but that Billie doc was one of my favorites of the year. I'm not a fan of the Selena and Chef Max original series that she's got. Girl's got like 3 seasons. Good for her. Selena and Chef. I prefer a story like this. It's not perfect and it's not up there with the Billie Eilish doc, but it's in its path. This is a movie that isn't looking to reflect back at her entire life, but at a turning point in her career, I would say. Specifically, it's not even looking at her as an artist. That comes with it. It's looking at her mentally. The Tony Hawk doc recently from South by, that's also on HBO, did the same thing where he's looking at through his career, but it's because he just physically went through like an injury, so he's kind of going through the physicality of why he does it. Here she's going through the like mentality of why she does it. It's in the name, My Mind and Me. What she was going through when she was young and who she was trying to appease. There's a lot of lines dealing with Disney that I found fascinating to hear her like vent about, because the conversation isn't Disney. She's in a different scenario, but it's the not the it's trauma, but it's the not being able to control the environment that she was in led her to remember
lack of
her time at
agency.
Disney. That, and I found that so like that it was scarier than hearing the repeated story of what might have happened at Disney. It's just like, dang, this is the repercussions of what you're still feeling. There are points where it is goofy, like it's just her vlogging and she's entering her school. Like, ma'am, you in America, you can't just be showing up to schools. I don't care if you're Selena Gomez. She's showing up to like elderly people's houses who she knew when she was young, and all I'm picturing is like, you're seeing these people. It's raw. Like the guy answers the door and he's like, Selena Gomez, and they like enter this house. But I'm also like, yeah, you were friends with her, but like before you became famous, like when was the last time you saw these people and you're pulling up at this house with a whole camera crew? Did you get your shot? Was it cute, heartfelt for your documentary, or a time to go leave her dying? There was weird moments like that as well, where it kind of felt like she's just going in and out of places for no reason. But she's such a big artist. Like, it's 90 minutes, so it's jumping from so many tones and ideas, so she can go back home. But then she also has to like escape to Africa because it's the only place where she can have her phone off and it be the excuse of, sorry, I can't turn this on because we're away. But really the excuse is she doesn't want to be bombarded with being Selena Gomez and reminded of that wherever she goes on her own phone. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a fascinating sort of look at her career, and particularly because I think, as you mentioned, she has that Disney star past, and she's also like, been this huge pop star and been in a bunch of interesting roles in films and television. We really like her on Only Murders in the Building. But I think what she went through is aside from like the highly publicized romantic stuff, her breakup with Justin Bieber, and then also the also somewhat highly publicized battle with mental health that left her in a mental hospital and dealing with psychosis and bipolar diagnosis. It's just interesting because it comes at this time in her life where she really is becoming kind of like this more fully formed adult and realizing kind of the path that she's chosen or that's been chosen for her in some ways. And to me, the most fascinating element of it was her kind of dealing with the fact that she doesn't really like what she does, but it's the
That's crazy,
best thing for her to achieve what she wants. Just the ways in which she and the people around her try to deal with it. Like I've seen that there's apparently some like criticism of her friend Raquel going around, and I thought it was just really interesting that she
Raquel,
has
the blonde
this,
one?
yes,
Yeah, we didn't like Raquel.
she has this close friend with her who like tries to remind her of like the privilege that she has being in the position
You don't need to be reminded.
even if it does like hurt at times too. I don't know. I feel like friends like Raquel are necessary. I get it. She comes off kind of harsh in the doc, but I will commend Raquel if no one else will. But yeah, because she is she sort of realized like, oh, what I do doesn't matter as much as helping other people, but I
Yeah.
also am in a position where I can help other people. So seeing an artist realize that maybe their passion lies elsewhere and the way that that contributes to her mental state, I thought was interesting. I do feel like there are moments where maybe the documentary is more honest than her talking heads, if that makes sense, like in the way that they'll use TMZ and paparazzi footage to kind of fill in some blanks in her story rather than have her actually address them or like say Justin Bieber's name out loud. But it's not stuff that I think I needed. It's just stuff that I think would have maybe made it a little better and more intimate and more revealing.
I agree.
But yeah, I thought it was good.
The way I put it is, this is a doc about Selena Gomez, but it's not the doc about Selena Gomez. She still has so much of her life to look back on, and when she's going to look at. So, then because there was a lot of other medical conditions that she was talking about. Lupus, as you highlighted, was another one, and how you had people telling her like, yeah, this might become something worse. And then just that idea of like, it's not just her. Ever since she started with Barney, she's had a whole group of people around her who she's had to come up with. So I think with forgetting the friend's name who you had mentioned, that a lot of people
Raquel.
come out on. It sucks for her because in a documentary that's only 90 minutes, you only have a certain amount of time, right? So maybe you didn't see the parts of Raquel, which is why she's there, right?
Right.
Like she obviously does some, but the parts that you do see, it's after a long press tour with Selena, and it's like Raquel doesn't realize that Raquel don't got a job if it ain't for Selena having to do this. And Raquel's telling her, enjoy your job, when one, no one ever said she did it. And two, Raquel's ignoring the part where she's got to sit down time after time after time after time after time with a lot of people. And I think everyone is excited for the moment they get to interview Selena Gomez, and they don't realize that they're number 54 on the freaking day. I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I thought there was more to see. That's all I could say. For 90 minutes, it was pretty short. So it left me wanting more, and I'm curious to see what other stuff she's going to reflect. And thank goodness, and in like her damn friends documentaries where Demi sounds like she's making docs just to shout out her friends, and the whole thing's contrived just because like I kind of owe you one on the last one.
No, and also unlike the Demi Lovato, was it Dancing in the Dark or Dancing with the
Was
Devil?
it the Hulu series, the YouTube original series? Was it the Quibi series?
The most recent one, whatever what it is, it doesn't feel like she's too close to be making this kind of reflective look, right? Like Demi, it felt like the things she was talking about were still ongoing. It feels like Selena is like moved to a new chapter, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's reflecting back, and what's her name was like setting the story straight. I would recommend this one, and if it was playing in theaters, just like I would have for the Billie Eilish one, more so the Billie, obviously, but I would recommend to have seen this one in theaters if you could, because there's some nice shots, some nice edits. Maybe would have been fun to see with the crowd, but highly recommended at home on Apple TV Plus.
What do you think Selena Gomez fans call themselves?
So I know her nickname is Sal, right? Because I've met some acquaintances, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Sal was here the other day." I'm like, "Sal?
Sal?
Okay, Sal. Sorry, right. Sal."
Didn't realize you're on such a close basis with her, but okay.
They're like that. It was actually really close to her. God, no. I'd rather be the Gomez's than something else. But some of the other docs that came out this weekend, to go by them really quickly, was the Sundance selection, Meet Me in the Bathroom, which is playing in some theaters and should be going on some streaming service. I'm not exactly sure which one. Zach, you like this one?
Yeah, I liked it fine. It's an interesting look at the New York rock scene in the 2000s with focus on bands like The Strokes, the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, LCD Sound System, a bunch of my favorite bands from growing up. And I think the documentary does a pretty interesting job of sort of contextualizing the way that all these bands were kind of hovering around each other and sometimes colliding and ending up by playing in certain venues. Those venues would also become kind of the hot spots. And just to see that the way that both New York grew around the rock scene at the time and the rock scene grew into New York at that time and place, you know, especially with the way that it moved around the city as real estate prices changed and 9/11 happened, which moved a lot of people out of lower Manhattan and stuff like that. So It's a fascinating document, not just of like a piece of music history, but a piece of history of like the United States, or at least New York City. It's not ultimately as deep of a dive as I'd like into most of this
It
stuff,
needs to be long.
because
It's too short.
yeah, it kind of, this should have maybe been a mini series rather than a documentary, because I mentioned a few bands at the top, and also this stuff that dives into New York. There's more bands that they profile in this film, and because you're dividing time in so many ways, you don't necessarily go as deep as you'd like to on any of them. When we went to Sundance and drove out there, I was actually listening to this book on tape, and it's funny, you see exact phrases lifted from the book into the movie, but they're not surrounded by nearly as much context as they are in the book. So if you actually really, really care about this era of music or of history, absolutely pick up the Lizzie Goodman book if you haven't already. I mean, it's classic well before I gave it the recommendation. But I still would give a light recommendation to Meet Me in the Bathroom, if only because it's like there is interesting stuff there. It's just not it's a more of an appetizer and less of an entree.
Not complete. Well, hopefully they make it into a miniseries if the content's already there in the book.
Yeah, exactly.
So some of the other ones would be Calendar Girls, also from Sundance. I think we both gave it a recommendation. Good for them. It's elderly women who still want to be calendar girls. It's out there. Check it out if you are interested.
Do you remember that movie that was about like the chorus of elderly people from a few years back? That was kind of like a hot documentary. They sang "Fix You" at the end of the movie.
Kind of. It sounds
Young
very
at Heart.
familiar.
Is that what it is?
It could be Young at Heart. I'm confusing it with the one that happened in Florida, and one of us met the directors.
Oh, no. You're talking about the one that was at the Villages.
They were in the Villages, yeah.
Yeah, no, but this one, Calendar Girls, reminded me a little more of Young at Heart.
Gotcha. Okay, Young at Heart sounds familiar, but I feel like I'm picturing an actual movie, not a doc, where they were teaching them how to do a chorus. I'm not sure, but either way, if you've seen Calendar Girls or if you've seen the movies that we're talking about, let us know down below. Another one that came out was a 3-part series called Killer Sally. The first part, you got this family of bodybuilders, really a couple. They end up getting married. They end up having kids. And then by the end of 1, she shoots him. And by 2, you're wondering what had happened here. Was it the roids? Was it all the competitions? Was she just as bad as him, though? Crazy little series over on Netflix. You know how they love to contrive people's stories, but it's about a couple of bodybuilders that may have gone a little too far. Pretty interesting story. The Automat is another one that I had on my radar for a little bit, but I wasn't going to go to the theaters to go see a movie about a vending machine. It's a little doc, an hour, 19 minutes. It's on HBO Max right now, and it's about I don't know if you ever went to these, Zach, the Automats in New York, where everything would come out in a spinning thing. It's a little bit different than a vending machine. You put a nickel in, you get coffee, you get a pie, whatever else. They got Mel Brooks and a lot of people in here as talking heads talking about their old times, and you also have them sitting there going, why are you making a documentary about this? Where's this going to play? So it is on HBO. I wouldn't recommend this in any other capacity other than it being a weird but amusing little doc about an old restaurant known as the Automat about vending machines. That would be all of the movie releases for this week. The final thing that we have before talking about the new to see is really the only big TV series that we had out. There's a bunch of stuff that is wrapping. I guess this is taking me straight to my own Netflix. Let's see.
Yeah.
It just starts playing. We just start streaming it live right now.
Right.
All right, yeah, I'm not going to let this play like that. But the Blockbuster series, something that I kind of a little excited for. Yeah. If you know, Netflix obviously beat out Blockbuster in real life. Netflix then had the Blockbuster doc called The Last Blockbuster that they were able to pick up during the pandemic. Kind of weird because, they're kind of to blame to it to a degree. They then get the Blockbuster TV series. I don't know, man. Part of it feels like a backhanded compliment, a backhanded kind of flex that Netflix is doing. On the second part, there's a lot of heart that they could put into this, and it's not that hard to do a show that's about community and people coming together and is a sitcom, and you have a whole slew of cast that you've had on Netflix, so you know what jokes like algorithmically this should be the easiest put together show. And it feels algorithmically put together. It feels like you took 10 different sitcoms, figured what the most effective ratio of the funniest character is there, and then forgot that they only work in the context of that, sitcom, and that audience decided, let's just shove them all in together. Everyone is just one bit. Hi, I'm the manager who got divorced and trying to be with somebody. Hi, I'm the character who went to Harvard and wants to be somebody. Hi, I'm the other guy's daughter. You saw some of it, right?
I watched the first 3 and then I kind of had the rest of the series on in the background because I feel like I made my decision on whether or not this was a show for me.
What's this kid? We're here from American Vandal. What's him? Where his
he's
two
the
traits?
cinephile. So of course he cares about great horror movies like Dracula from 1979 and The Slender Man and Scary Movie 2. Like that's another thing is that I feel like they sort of wrote for this idea hoping that like, oh, this is a show about people who love movies, so we have to show our love for movies, but like clearly they don't love movies that much because
Like
they spend most of the time either making fun of bad movies or just doing weird
hot
references
takes
to extremely popular ones.
Yes.
It's just like not for the type of humor it's going for. It's extreme. Like I don't think it's gonna work for people who don't care about movies, and for people who care about movies, we know they're wrong. So, I don't know. It's very sitcom, like network sitcom level humor. And I forgot how much I don't like network sitcoms for the most part because it's so broad and so like it's so like ham-fisted in its approach. Everybody's trying so hard to like say, oh, that's just like, and then weird pop culture reference, and the characters are just not written in a way that feels like it works. Olga Merediz in particular,
they did her dirty.
Amazing in The Heights. Like we know she's a very talented actress. I don't think anybody who wrote her lines has spoken to an elderly woman before. Like they're writing her like she's some wisecracking teenager or something, but who also is a homebody. It's like
quite possibly the worst written character that they've had on Netflix in a minute. And you are right. It hurts more because we like her. The whole sitcom feel hurts more because this is Netflix post the Blockbuster era. You know how to not fall into that. Randall Park has made jokes for Marvel series where he knows how to get ahead of the cringe. My man is drowning it in here. I don't know what to do. There was a movie that came out at TIFF called I Like Movies. They also shouted out the producers from the last Blockbuster series who are also producers on this. I would recommend what we had brought up at Sundance as a more authentic, cringe in the right way possible perspective of this. I'm very disappointed with it, man. My joke to you was gladly we don't have Blockbusters and I don't have to go rent it there, because if you remember back in the day, the seasons would come in different DVDs. The episodes for one season would come in DVDs. I would have never gone back to finish the other part, and I'm still like technically 2 episodes to finish it. But hey, watch the doc if you haven't. Wait for this movie. I Like Movies if you haven't. Very similar. They didn't get the Blockbuster name for this though, and I think honestly, I think that helps some more. It looked ugly, bro. I don't know why I had a problem with this. Why they got like the Blockbuster logo on both their nipples? Like, shouldn't it just be on one?
Yeah, shouldn't that just be the title of the series? Is like the Blockbuster logo or something? It all doesn't really work. I also kind of feel like maybe the premise of they are the last Blockbuster works better for like a broad sitcom, but the Blockbuster that we all love and remember and have nostalgia for is one from before the streaming age. I'm surprised they didn't just make this a period piece.
Right? They should. Well, and again, another reason why I Like Movies works so much better. I will leave you with one little Easter egg. I don't know if you noticed, there was one, blank on her name, from Brooklyn 911, where she actually opens up a copy of Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, yeah. Well, it would make sense because it's produced by NBC Universal, and all of the DVDs in the store are also NBC Universal DVDs.
They just can't keep the posters.
Yeah. It's one of those shows that has like 10 jokes every minute, but most of them are bad. I will give them credit that I did laugh when somebody said you live with roommates, and Randall Park's response was, roommate, Greg is still missing.
And you wish that they would focus more on those jokes than the other one. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe if it gets picked up for a second season, they can find their groove, because it's not bad actors. They've all been really funny in their respective things. That's another reason why we came to it. But so far, at least for the season 1, it's a binge in the background for me. But
Yeah,
other than
yeah.
that, Zach, if you want to shout out the Intercuties before we get to our final segment, which is the picks
Let's
for the week.
do it. Let's thank those awesome Inner Cutie Plus patrons, the wonderful people supporting the show. They are Renee, Ewan, Julietta, Garrett, Tim, Elizabeth, Josh, Ashley, Michael, D.A., Matt, and Mr. Kobayashi. The family grows bigger every week. And we've also got our Academy level members. They are Tushar, Mariam, Cademan, Connor, Pete, Sean, May, Ricky, and What's Matta. And of course, a super big thanks to the producer level patrons. They are Awkward and you, Denver. Thanks again for all the support, and a reminder that you too can become a member at patreon.com/intercutpod, where you can sign up for patron benefits like early access to Intercut episode outlines, access to private channels on the Intercut Discord. Occasionally we'll drop episodes early there, and you also get an invitation to our monthly patron Google meetings where you can chat with Art and I about the latest in TV, streaming, movies, whatever. Art, what are we going to talk about on the next stream? We have to figure out when our next hangout is.
We're trying to do it right before the week of Thanksgiving. And this
Yeah.
time I want to have a different bracket. Maybe something now that we're getting towards the end of the year to have November and December kind of be a look back on the movies of 2022.
Best of
It's been
22.
one hell of a year.
Interesting.
We could do blockbusters, we could do indies, and then just face it out there. We had some spooky ones, but
Yeah.
we always get stuck with the scary ones because we're like, which franchises do we keep in? Do we keep it at horror monsters? And then it ends up we never end up doing the bracket because it ends up just being the discussions on who should be on the bracket.
Right. Exactly. It's too hard to
But
decide.
sometimes those are even more fun to have.
All right. Let's get into our picks for the week, shall we?
Let's do it. Yeah.
All right. So looking ahead to the weekend, some of my picks are in theaters, but I got some stuff on streaming for y'all as well. We talked about it a little bit earlier. We're probably going to do an after credits on it shortly, but Armageddon Time, I think a fascinating new film from James Gray and a really interesting, unique coming of age story. To me, this is one of the movies of the year. I also just feel like there are certain elements of it that speak to Judaism that kind of honestly hit me a little bit. So maybe there's a little bit of personal element going on as well. I still think just in terms of the discussions the movie is trying to have about equity, it's just a fascinating piece of work. So it's expanding into more theaters. I think it's in less than 1,000 theaters right now, but it'll be in much more than that this weekend. So as Armageddon Time expands over the weekend, I definitely am recommending people check that out. I'd also recommend, if it's in a theater near you, checking out one of the Sundance winners from earlier this year, the film Midwives. This is a fascinating documentary that we saw that is a kind of on the wall look at a birthing center run in a part believe this is in part of northern India, where the government has basically been neglecting the need for more doctors there, and this woman is sort of navigating a tense political environment in which I think it's there are people who are basically being like cast out, yet she's trying to navigate giving birth treatment to people, and it's
That's wild.
there are some really, really gripping scenes in this film. We remember when we talked about it, there's just this one scene where the head doctor there puts a bunch of the patients in their place, and it's one of those rare documentary moments where you just sort of you feel like you're seeing something that you shouldn't be seeing. I don't know. I think this is a just fascinating documentary, and definitely one of the best ones that we caught out of Sundance earlier this year. That being said, I think you've got one on your list that's going to be the biggest movie releasing in theaters this weekend.
Easily in theaters is a little movie that technically we have our screenings tonight. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Call it Wakanda Forever. Black Panther 2, probably the most anticipated movie of the second half of the year, leading up to probably Avatar. I think it's just I think it's this and Avatar, to be completely honest with you. The soundtrack is out. I've listened to it. I think it's fantastic. It's a beautiful mix of melodies. I love the new Rihanna song. I love the cast. I'm looking out for it the Noche tonight. I am very excited to see what he brings to the table, and just overall, however the movie works. I have varying different people who I look for my Marvel opinions, and even especially with Black Panther. And it's been an interesting array of opinions so far. So I am excited to dip into it. Have our Dolby screening
Mm-hmm.
tonight, IMAX screening later. But easily, it's probably the biggest release. 2 hours, 40 minutes, a lot of story to tell. And I feel like this is going to be the next important one. I know that you show up to all of them, Zach, because you need to cover them for the podcast. But I know it's been a
Obviously.
minute since you felt like, oh, this is one where I need to be here for. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think you've had that in a minute. I guess Spider-Man, but Spider-Man was like a different level. Spider-Man, like we're not going to see any repercussions of Spider-Man. This feels like the next step to the MCU. The reason why we have to continue showing up to school. This is like right before the exams. This is the one day that you need to be there for. Very excited for it. And
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
curious to hear everyone's opinions.
this also just looks more like a real movie than most of those
Everything
Marvel
they said
movies
about
do.
the Eternals, this finally feels like it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Coogler hasn't let us down yet, so I have faith in him at least as far as this movie goes, and probably beyond that if we're being honest.
Sounds good. We had a double up one with a series that I know that you were excited for. I'm excited for. We both already got it early, so we started watching it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, on Apple TV Plus, Mythic Quest is back for season 3. Rob McElhaney's Apple TV Plus show where he is in charge of a video game company and gets to play a somewhat different character than Mac, although they share certain qualities for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think the real pleasure in this show though is that they've really built out this cast and really spent time with all the characters to the point where now in season 3 you're just able to really enjoy all the different pairs that they put together, all the different storylines that they weave. It's just there's no effort really anymore. They can just kind of mix and match and find new delights in the ways that they put their characters together, especially the show's at its best when they are able to put all their characters into one room. There's a particularly funny moment at the end of the first episode when they get news about another character that is just burned into my brain now. It's so funny. I've been really enjoying this show, and it's continuing to get better in its third season. To me, this might be my favorite just like straight comedy on TV right now, not including the
Okay.
shows like Barry and Atlanta that are have maybe some different aspirations, but in terms of just like half an hour and it makes me feel good and laugh, I love Mythic Quest, man. There's not a weak link in the cast, and there's not really an episode that I don't like.
Same. Doubling it up. I'm in the first 3 episodes of the new season, and I just always love with them being a tech show how they like get ahead of things or like have to go back to whatever since the last season, what was the last big tech thing that happened, and then they have to like retroactively discuss it. I think they've always been really keen on that stuff, so I would also recommend Mythic Quest highly. My last big one, you may have one more, is The Menu in theaters. I have not seen this one, but I am very excited to go catch this. The trailers continue to play at every single showing that I go to. Comedy, horror, thriller. It seems like a blender of different genres. Cast looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Very excited to see how this plays out. I'm sure many have heard about The Menu.
Yeah, I think
So I'm
that
excited to see
one's
this in
still not
theaters.
coming out until next weekend, unfortunately.
Am I that excited for it? Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
that
you're
excited
just
for it. Sorry, guys.
getting
I'm just like
getting ahead of it.
I'm craving it, bro. I'm so hungry for it. Because I had the same
Right?
thing too. I also had the Wonder on my thing because we just got the screening link for it, but that's also still not till November 16th. So I'm just looking two ahead.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. Everybody's clearing out for Black Panther. There's limited options.
sense.
A lot of them are those more indie movies that are expanding. I think Fablemans, the Steven Spielberg movie, is getting like in a couple theaters in New York and LA release too. But we'll talk about that more soon, I'm sure. But you have another pick that just made its way to HBO Max.
We talked about this last week just to have it on there on people's radar, see how they run. If you're seeing a lot of these Searchlight movies out in theaters, just know you don't have to worry about it. In a month and change, it'll be out on the streaming service.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll probably catch up with that one. Another movie that was in theaters but is going to be much more readily available over on Disney Plus this weekend
Very
is
good.
maybe my favorite documentary of the year so far, Fire of Love, the Sundance Award winner about the volcanologists. This one is just a very beautifully assembled piece of editing, because this is all taken from archive footage and archived materials. The footage they get of these volcanoes is just so amazing. You just can't like look away from it. I don't know. I think this is just a like a hypnotizing movie in some ways, especially given that beautiful Miranda July voiceover that it accompanies it. I know some people who we saw it with thought it was like a little bit sleepy, but to me that was just like the perfect compliment to this this like introspective nature documentary. I don't know. So
Yeah.
now that it's going to be streaming in everybody's home, I really hope people
Watch it
catch
on the
up with
best
Fire
screen
of
you got.
Love. Yeah,
Yup.
one of the most beautiful documentaries I've seen in quite some time. But I'm going from one documentary that I saw and loved to a documentary we haven't seen yet, but I'm hoping I love too. Is That Black Enough for You? The debut documentary from film critic turned documentarian Elvis Mitchell, looking at a lot of historic Black cinema with interviews from a lot of iconic Black voices. It just seems like a really cool film look at film history. You know, we've seen some of these documentaries that are able to kind of add context around some of the most important films that we've had, and particularly in Black cinema, I feel like a lot of the earlier entries often get overlooked when we're trying to talk about, you know, the most important feats or the people that ultimately influence the people we love. So to get this kind of deep dive from somebody who knows a lot about it, talking to people who lived it, experienced it, were influenced by it, I'm pretty excited for this one. I'm hoping it's going to be really good.
Sounds good.
You have one more pick on Netflix?
I do not. I'm cutting that
No,
one,
you
bro.
don't want to recommend that one?
No, we'll see. I'll watch it next week, and then if I do, then I'll say it on the show.
All right. I'll throw out another pick that I haven't seen yet. I'm not so
What you got?
sure how great this one will be, but Bar Fight does feel like it might be fun, starring Melissa Fumero, who we just talked about a bit on Blockbuster, also starring Rachel Bloom, who's on a show I know you're really enjoying, Reboot, over on
Reboot.
Hulu.
Yeah, she's really good.
Yeah. Just looks like a cute kind of low-key comedy about a couple who got divorced and now are fighting over who gets to keep their the bar that they frequented.
That's
I don't
funny.
know. Seems like a decent
Okay.
time.
Decent. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out for it.
But I think that might bring us to the end of this edition of Weekend Must Watch then. Unless you got
sir.
anything else to add to us.
Nah,
You
just
can
make
catch
sure you
more
get-
from me, Zach Shevich, by following me on Twitter, Instagram, or Letterboxd at ZShevich. That's ZSHEVICH. And check out my YouTube and TikTok channels at Multiplex Show. Art, where can people find more from you?
You can find me over at Elmi Explain on YouTube, on Twitter, on Letterboxd, or every week here on the Intercut Podcast.
You can listen to every episode of the Intercut Podcast on iTunes, Anchor, Spotify, whatever your favorite podcatcher is. I like Overcast. And then make sure you're subscribed not just to the audio podcast, but to the video feed as well on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/IntercutPod. You can catch our bright smiling faces as we break down the latest in entertainment. Find new episodes of the Intercut Weekend Must Watch streaming on our YouTube channel every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Please leave us a comment, like the video, and consider heading over to iTunes to give us that much requested 5-star review. Shout out to our listeners in Belgium and Nigeria for putting us on the TV and film podcast charts out there. Like our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter. Support our Patreon. You can find them all at Intercut Pod to get updates throughout the week from Art, from me, from all the guests that we feature here on Intercut. Also, check out the link to our Discord in the description below to join our Intercutie community. Talk about movies throughout the week. It's a fun place to hang out. Thanks again for tuning into the live stream. And until next time, I can't really take Enola Holmes seriously because every time I see her name, I just think to myself, Enola Holmes, like in a Mrs. Doubtfire voice. It's just all a little bit ridiculous.